Program Director, we have set aside this day for the launch of the EC of the Eastern Cape Department of Education's upgraded citizen care center that is meant to service the citizens of this province. The Citizens Care Unit was established in 2018, by the way, but started operating in 2019. However, due to some challenges and changing times, we ought to improve it so that it can meet the demand, it can meet the challenges that we're confronted with on day-to-day basis. We improved the technologies. The department took a decision to engage in a process of improving, revitalizing, and upgrading of its Citizens Care Center. This upgraded focused on the leveraging mobile technologies to foster the improved communications between Department of Education and the community at large. The aim is to bolster the service delivery, monitor progress, optimize administrative efficiency, and leveraging back office agents across various directorates to address matters raised by communities and clients. The new system, which is now called CRM, is user-friendly and has got more features than the previous one, including the use of 4 languages spoken in the previous English, Xhosa, Afrikaans, and Sotho. I said earlier on, one key strategic question here that we must answer: how do you build a responsive government? And how do you build confidence and trust of the public to government? What is the turnaround time of a problem that has been set to government? So that the deficit that you have between the public and their own government is minimized and uprooted if needs be. So, unfortunately, colleagues, we are a government that is currently engaged or leading a society that evolves. So the evolution of the society that we are leading requires changing of strategies. And hence you are not relevant if you don't have a Facebook page now. If you don't have a social media page, you are not relevant. Precisely because gone are the days where it's only you who are media people. Everybody in this country is a media person by virtue of having a cell phone. So you can't say we must wait for a letter that has been written by a complainer. Immediately that thing is seen in a social media, somebody must pick up and respond once and for all. Precisely because I'm saying the technological advancement on the media space has made the global village a bit shorter and has converted everybody to be a media person. Uzayifota lanto uyifake ku social media. You are not a credible institution of media, but I can tell you, people are going to respond in various forms. So you needed to be in advance in almost all the aspects of life, respond accordingly. Hence I'm saying, we just needed to go with times and be able to see what is it that is making government to be a bit not taken seriously sometimes. So hence we are introducing those platforms so that we can engage each other. Even in terms of the policy discourse themselves, we can be able to deal with that. So hence I'm saying it's going to be important that from time to time we review the strategies, we look into the blind spots, we check whether the relevance of the department in servicing the people, for that matter, even far beyond the mandate of this sector. Far beyond the mandate of this sector. So we must stabilize families as well. That's not our constitutional mandate. But I'm saying, if you have got kids that are not stable socially and psychosocially, you are not going to make it here in the education. So you need to always check and balance what are the strategic opponents of the ambitions of this sector, and how do you respond to those questions, colleagues? In the context of the writing examinations, colleagues, we have already said that we are almost at the tail end of it now on writing examinations, which started on the 30th of October with 953 full-time and 127 independent centers. These exams are progressing well with minimum irregularities reported across the province. However, let me indicate that the number of candidates who got 6 this time around was alarming, very high compared to previous years. There was 51 candidates that were hospitalized, but in a stable condition, where doctors indicated that were fit to write. The department had to employ trained invigilators to afford them to affected candidates an opportunity to write examinations. Community protest also posed a challenge in writing of these examinations, colleagues, in particular in OR Tambo Coastal. However, with the assistance of SAP, no candidates were disadvantaged, as they had to be compensated with time due to the lack to start the examinations. As examinations will complete currently on the 5th of December, we are marking a call to all learners not to engage themselves into any form of pens down celebrations, as this has led to negative consequences in the past. We further urge parents and broader society to collaborate with us in dealing with this question. And I think we must remind you, the Enyobeni issue arises out of this. And I think all of us, both as government and as people of this province, and also people across this country, has learned 1 or 2 lessons out of this. It can't be right that ulonwabo lwakho must be a threat to your living. And we treat that as something that is normal. Sentsho singake sonwabe man noba sonwabanga ngutywala. Nyanzelekanga xa kuzoko kunwatywe kubekho utywala. You see? Singake sonwabe noba kunwatyanga ngutywala. So this thing yokokubana we are on the 3rd spot, DDG, must stop. By the way, we are rated as the most drunkard nation in the world. We are on the 3rd spot, ngokunxila kwihlabathi. We are on the 3rd spot, ngokunxila kwihlabathi. So those that have got ambitions to lead this country must understand the crisis. You can't be rated number 3 in the world, being a drunkard nation. You can't be rated number 3. Something is wrong here, and something must be stopped. Must be stopped. It must be stopped. Otherwise, you run a risk here of having a hollow state and a state that cannot command respect to the citizens that it is leading. I'm raising this matter in the context of the pens down. The appetite is very high in creating these platforms. But ingxaki yayo lento xa iphuma neziphumo zayo komntu ufuna uowna apha. Komntu ufuna uowna ngoku xa kukho isidumbu out of this thing. And I'm then saying the first hurdle that must be dealt with here, so that these young ones must understand where the nation is driven to and why we are stopping this thing. Otherwise, if it is not stopped, we will be number 1 next time. We are currently number 3, but if it is not stopped, we will be number 1 next time. And I'm saying, akho ndifuna sasicengane kule nto. Ubana ngaba sicinga uba ifuture yeli lizwe isetywaleni, let that be stopped. Asithi utywala burongo mabungaselwa, but we're saying, let's be responsible, colleagues. In terms of the admissions, colleagues, without wasting your time, the plans are placed for schools' readiness in 2024. But we'll give a full blow-by-blow on this question. We are reconvening the media briefing before the 15th of December, so that we deal with the issue of admissions thoroughly. Now, currently we have got 4 districts that are a hotspot on this matter. It's East London, Buffalo City, Nelson Mandela, Queenstown, and Mthatha. If you look very closely to that, you will see that these are economic hubs of the province, which means there is a disintegration. There is a disintegration of government's planning, which results into this. Uba kaloku iBuffalo City yakhula economically, ine-impact kuthi kwa-education Lord. And there must be a plan that talks to that. If Nelson Mandela iyakhula as a metro, ine-impact kwi-plan yakwa-education Lord. If KSD is growing in terms of people coming closer to KSD for either looking for jobs or looking for settlements, that has got an impact in terms of infrastructure of education in that areas. And hence you will get this debate that I'm raising. But I'm then saying, colleagues, we'll come to blow by blow on this matter. Just to ease you, we are currently at 920 unplaced learners as we speak now. It's almost a school. If you can take that 920, it's almost a school. So, and it's quite a huge number, but it's found across all these areas that I'm talking about. But also the Alwal North is beginning to be a thorn in the flesh of this crisis. Albeit the fact that we have got a new school that we have just built last year in Alwal North, the Alwal North High. But it's beginning to be a problem on this particular matter. But again, colleagues, I think we will give you a finer detail on this particular matter. Let me not waste your time on this. In terms of the learner support material, the department has appointed 55 publishers to supply textbooks for 4,992 schools across the province. The total value for the ordered textbooks was 219 million, and 41 distributors were appointed for delivery. It is worth noting that delivery of textbooks started on the 10th of October, and a month later, in 2022. To date, the distribution has managed to give us 99.8% on textbooks. For the first time in this province, we are done with learner support material in the context of textbooks and also in the context of the stationery that has been a thorn in the flesh of this government. So at a level of stationery, we're at 100%. Now, DDGs and district directors are commissioning principals of schools before they close. Indicate to us whether those books are in quality that was expected or not. The issue now is no longer about whether they arrived or not. We have dealt with that question. The issue now is whether the service providers that were commissioned to do this task have not defrauded the state. Give material that was not the one that was expected. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I'm saying government must take responsibility at all material times and must anticipate a problem. Because I'm saying to you, it's for the first time that we have got stationery and textbook almost a month before the closure of schools. The 45% of the budget of this province comes to this department. So for me, it's not just about giving schools books, giving schools S&P, giving schools school norms and for school norms for funding. To what extent does that create jobs for the people of the province? I'm saying to you, this is the department that has got a lion's share of the fiscus. So you need to also look whether you have got an impact in terms of the livelihood of the people of the province beyond the academic mandate that you have because of the size of the budget that we are using in any intervention that you are dealing with. In terms of the office currently, colleagues, the SGP is coming to an end on the 30th of February 2024, and all schools are required to elect new SGPs. And on the 13th of July 2024, the minister issued a gazette, number 48952, declaring the 1st of March to 31st of March 2024 as a period of the next SGP elections. This is another milestone that must be looked into. I'm not sure whether must I raise this, TTG kid. You are conducting elections of SGPs just a couple of months before the national elections. I'm not sure whether you have observed that. That's one. Two, you are conducting SGP elections of schools in an environment that is a bit hostile. Hostile in the sense that everyone is a survivalist economically. If this thing is not properly managed, vetted, scrutinized, make sure that relevant people emerges here. I can tell you now, you are running a risk of schools tend to be procurement centers. Watch that space. Because they are going to use the statutory and legitimacy from a legal point of view of being the boards of schools to convert schools into procurement centers, intensifying that debate of decentralization of critical functions here. Intensifying that debate, and I want to be on record on this. You take that decision of decentralizing these major contracts into schools, forget about having schools in this country. Close shop and take your bags and go home. You can't convert schools into procurement centers and expect them to be able to do the constitutional mandate that they have. Iproblem yethu ke singabantu abothukayo lonke ixesha. Yabona ngoku wonke umuntu umisa ngomasipala abangaperformiyo. Kubani bengayazi into yobana once you take a function to local municipalities uzawuba ne-problem ye-procurement. And uzawuba ne-problem ye-underperformance in local municipalities. You are then changing now the goalpost, bring that here into schools. Bring that here into schools using Section 21 of the South African Schools Act as a buffer for that debate. And I'm then saying we have to choose between being a schooling system that is credible, that has got all challenges, of course, that are not insurmountable, but I can tell you, once you allow a situation where schools becomes procurement centers, you are gravitating towards the crisis that local government is confronted with every day. Bazawubulalana abantu bangqamele laa nto la decentralization. Sinengxaki yenkabi apha that started in KZN They are visiting now the Eastern Cape. Recently, kubulawa i-official yaselapha eBuffalo City. Up until today's date, nobody knows. And we're not tourists. We know that that official is critical in terms of the procurement of Buffalo City. Even if we cannot answer in detail what could have been prompt that reason. But I'm saying, you can't allow that thing to happen here. You can't allow that thing to happen here because ebeke kwenzeka lonto, ifocus izawushifta. Ishifte iye kulento inemali oyizisa esikolweni. By the way, part of the money that we're unable to account for is the money that is at schools. Kucinywa umbane apha program director almost every day by ESCOM. Why? Because schools have not paid municipal services. And funeka ingathethwa lonto. Uba kucinywa umbane ezwelisha abasebenzi baphuma early because kufuna umasipala ufuna 5 million for example to pay. Where is this 5 million coming from? But this 5 million was not budgeted for this. You have been given money to pay your municipal services and you didn't pay it. Now, because out of the crisis we are, we must pay that 5 million to local municipality to save the image of the people of the province and the department entirely. So I'm saying there are things that cannot be allowed to happen. Cannot be allowed to happen. If you have been given a money from the public purse, at least you must be able to explain what is it that has happened about it. Hence, I'm saying this issue of transfers, colleagues, is a very good thing, and it remains a matter that makes our schools functional, critical priorities for the department to focus on. But equally, colleagues, the issue of the school funding norms is not an issue in the province. Hayi ndilungiselela naba kuthiwa bebelapha izolo lenye bafike ndingekho. It's not an issue. TDG Mastor. Currently we are at 1.6. 1,602 per learner in quintile 1 to 3, which is a national benchmark. So where does this debate comes from? Where does this debate comes from? Currently, we are at 1,602 rands per learner, which is a national norm. So there is no another norm except that one. Currently, we are at 803 for quintile 4 and 278 for quintile 5. Again, national norms. We were there a year back. We're not there now. We have taken money to then transfer it to schools so that we can be able to standardize, synergize, revitalize the culture of learning in the province and focus more on the content of what must be taught in our institutions of learning. So I'm saying there is no debate, there is absolutely no debate about school funding norms. That's a fallacy. There is no such a thing. So people must understand where we are. Probably it's because we have not been able to meet them at BcmTv to clarify that. But at least nabo man make bacela inhlanganiso before they march man. Yeah, ukucela meeting, uthi hayi ngicela meeting no MEC okanye ngicela meeting ne DDGs just to clarify certain things, you see, so that we don't find ourselves having to backlash each other on matters that are not there. So I'm saying it's not neither there nor here in the school funding norms. Colleagues, as we wrap up, I would want to also assure you that in terms of the national, in terms of the original funds allocated in the NSF in 2023, we have carried through over the medium-term expenditure framework the outer years, and meaning that the additional funding received was only for 2023. Last week we were engaged with the provincial treasurer in terms of getting more money to square up the challenges that were there. But the threat, as I'm saying, to that, Yoba, you have a risk of the outer years, not for this department, general, but generally for government. If you eat for the monies of the medium term expenditure framework currently on the basis of the challenges you have got a risk of the outer years. So I'm just lifting it up, Londo, so that you can consider. The additional budget was 594 million 669,000, which will take us to 2024-2025 in terms of the equitable shares. But again, as I'm concluding, we have done our level best with these DTGs, the HOD, the stakeholders in education, and also the civic movement of the province in ensuring that we stabilize the sector. We have tried our level best to improve the results to 77.8% last time. Our target is 80% now. Yes, of course, you may argue to say almost 2% that you require. It's not a child's play, that one, but of course, if you look back in terms of the past 3 to 4 years, we have been consistently improving by 5%. And that's why it was easy for us to make that determination. But also looking into the capacity of ourselves in dealing with the crowd pulling subjects, your mathematics, your physical sciences, your business studies, your accounting, your economics and social sciences. At least you are performing quite very well there. So, which I can assure you and the people of the province that at least you will be able to be above 80, by the way. But what I think is critical for us moving forward, as a food for thought, is that currently we have got a system that is on the rise, meaning that we have got more learners coming out of the out of the province that they were coming back to the province. Last year, for example, we were at 1.6 million. Currently, we are at 1.7 plus million. Now, here is the discussion or the debate that I'm bringing to you. The more the system is stabilizing, the more the pass rate is upward, on the upward trajectory, the more the threat on the infrastructure rollout plan. So you need to be anticipative that as a system isinika i-results eziright, inikisa umdla ebazalini, bebuya abantwana eKapa, bebuya abantwana eKZN, bebuya abantwana eGauteng, improve i-learner population yethu. What does that mean in terms of the infrastructure plan? Because if you don't answer that question, you run a risk of overcrowded classrooms very soon. So as you celebrate their pass rate, how do you deal with additional classrooms that are going to be needed? So bendisithi mandivale lesi statement ngalo mazwi nobulela kubantu baseMpuma Koloni for the time that they have given to us, and also the zeal and patience that they have given to us in managing their lives, because managing education, in essence, managing lives of the people. And unfortunately, this is the last national senior certificate that we are going to conduct as this government. Yes. The other national senior certificate will be conducted by another government that will emerge in June. This is the last national senior certificate for this government. So it's going to be important, DDGs, that we compile a report that takes us from 2019 to at least April next year, so that the HOD that is coming by May or whatever time that he or she will come after the OTP has finalized the appointment of the HOD, and the MEC that is coming in June, July, understands where we are. Three things that MEC must understand here. Here you need a hybrid approach that talks to the upward growth of the system, focusing on foundation skills learning. So that njengoba uleqa grade 12 pass rate abe organic this time around, azalwe la pass rate ka grade 12 ngu grade R walapha province, meaning there must be a systemic organic improvement of the foundation phase and the GETC band, so as to cap the unnecessarily expenditure on interventions that are happening in grade 12. One amongst those things, otitshala base high school balale ezikolweni. Balale ezikolweni because awutitshala be GETC band akukho tool iba determinayo whether they are in the right track or not. So we need to massively take that GETC certificate almost to all grade 9s in the province very quickly, because the minister has already taken that decision and piloting it in the province. And I'm then saying, Mr. Sokjika, you just need to massively look into that, whether must you continue with the districts that are piloting it, or must you make it a norm in the province that all grade 9 undergo that. Because ultimately all of them in this country are going to go to grade 9 certification. So why do you choose few districts? Let's just take it once and for all and see what is going to happen. Because I'm saying to you, isizathu sokulala kotishala base high school into bana utishala be primary schooling system akukho nto ibabophelelayo ba hey man anifike kule target funeka nikuyo. And hence I'm saying that's one area that must be resolved as we go along. The second one, colleagues, in my view, that would need an intensive systemic engagement in the top management and the people of the province is on how we deal with the issue of accruals. I've picked up through the good work that has been done by these DTGs that we have got 92 families that you cannot pay them their pensions. Now let's look in terms of the law. Whether is it not proper for us to consult Department of Justice and look into the master of the court, the estate, to offload such kind of responsibilities to them? Because remember, you will not be able to pay those families up until a declaration order by the Department of Justice. And I'm then saying, is there any policy that restricts us in forcing the estate to make a declaration on those families? Because it's about wrong or into sweleka komnikazi wemali okanye kusweleka abantu bebefanele benefita emalini because urhulumente ugcine imali. Akakwazi uyireleasa ubotshwe izandla nenawo ngenxa ye-family feuds. So I'm saying that's one area that I think must also be dealt with and deal with it. Lastly, colleagues, these DDGs initiated a very good program of aviation school. in Port Alfred. We can't, DTG Jwakati, allow that aviation school to close. That program that you have started, let's finish it as COM. This is the first and the last aviation school in this country. And unfortunately, that faculty is expensive for the people of this province and for the people of this country. You can't allow it to vanish, because for an individual learner to be enrolled there, Ms. Tag, you need a 1 million rand. And I'm saying, all of us here, we can't have our kids in that institution. So there must be a need of a policy shift in government, redirect aviation sitters, either to education, or also have either a memorandum of understanding between Department of Transport and the Department of Education, so as to tap to the aviation sitter in defense of the families that wants their kids to do aviation faculty. Otherwise, you run a risk here as a nation of having pilots that are foreign nationals very soon. If you go to Port Alfred, give yourself time and request just 10 or 30 minutes of your time with the management of that institution. Just do a research. How many that are South Africans that are doing aviation there? And if they are keen, what are the implications of that? So are you suggesting that in a short space of time, you might have pilots that are not necessarily South Africans? So I'm saying those are areas that I feel very strongly that with the competent management that we have, at least we can resolve them. Unfortunately, we could not resolve them during this term, but the coming leadership of the sector, within that particular 5-year term, they must resolve those issues so that we can be able to put the people of the province in a better